What's up, folks? David Soto Jr. here, and this is the David Soto Jr. podcast. What's up, folks? Welcome to episode 25 of the David Soto Jr. podcast. I am your host, David Soto Jr., and I am coming to you from, I don't even know where to say this place is. It's in the mountains, in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. I have been staying here all week. I got here last Thursday, and I've been here a week. My buddy and another friend showed up last Thursday night, and we went fishing all day Saturday, all day Friday, fishing all day Saturday, and they left on Sunday, which was my 44th birthday. Folks, this is my first podcast recording as a 44-year-old man. Look at me. Look how old I am. 44 years old. So I didn't know what I was going to talk about, but I don't have a burning topic right now, except the fact that I'm 44 years old. And I've spent my birthday week alone in the mountains. And I gotta tell you, it's been pretty good. First of all, I've been fishing a lot. And I fished the Gunnison River from the Black Canyon National Park, which I have a park pass. So I was able just to go in there and not to pay any money. Go on down the canyon, which is gorgeous. I never knew that was really a national park. I don't know. I was just doing some research on fishing and heard that was one of the best spots. Gold medal waters, anyways. So I caught the biggest brown trout I've ever caught, the biggest fish I've ever caught on my fly rod. It was the biggest brown for sure. It was gorgeous. It was the most great experience I've ever had. A couple reasons. First, it was the biggest fish I've ever caught fly fishing. Second, I caught it on a fly that I tied. I've only started taking up, literally this fly that caught this huge brown trout could have been the 10th fly I've ever tied in my life. Maybe 15th. But I'd say because I've gone to some fly tying classes, I've tied a few there, but I'm saying like, from my own kit that I bought thread and hooks and hackle, I've probably tied 10 to 12 flies on my own, and this may have been like the 10th one. I don't know, but it's been catching me fish all throughout the state, everywhere I fish. When I'm not up here, I'm usually in Boulder, Colorado, and I fish Boulder Creek every day. And the water's still been too high and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. But this fly's been catching me fish. I've caught so many fish on it the first time I used it that it finally broke off. And I had to tie a bunch more. This may be the only fly that I ever tie. I'll try different things because it's fun. But I'm going to tie this. As a Tenkara, I fish Tenkara first of all. As a Tenkara angler, we're supposed to only use one fly. Now, those are rules. Rules are meant to be broken, blah, blah, blah. But I find that I've been using one fly for the past few years that continually has success. If you're wondering why I just paused, it's because I can see deer in the next opening through the trees. Anyways, I've been successfully fishing with Tenkara with one specific fly from Tenkara USA. I forgot the name of it. I always forget the name of it, but I've caught the most fish on that. The second most fish that I've ever caught is on a fly called the killer bug. It's not, it represents larva. It's not really a fly per se, but I've caught a lot of fish on the killer bug. But I gotta tell you, as of the past 3 weeks or so, the most fish I've caught on a fly is the one that I designed and tied. Let's call it the Soto-san. Uh, but happy birthday to me! The biggest fish I ever caught is beautiful. It's gorgeous. I of course threw it back. I could have kept it because I'm pretty sure it was 16 inches. Could have kept it and ate it, but it was too beautiful to eat. And I don't like cleaning fish, to tell you the truth. um, the next thing that happened to me is I finished Luis Alberto Urrea's House of Broken Angels, and it is so good. I'm not going to talk about it now because I'm going to do my regular old book reviews, uh, video book reviews that I've been doing that nobody watches. So, but I got to tell you, it was really, really good. And man, can he capture emotions, and he can pass them on to you, the reader, through words. That was a pleasure. I also finished the rewrite of Los Chocolates de Esperanza Diamante, and I gotta tell you, every time I read this book, I think, wow, this is good. This is my best book. Los Chocolates de Esperanza Diamante is my best book. It'll probably be the best book I ever write, novella, or what have you. Um, it is a great, 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 great story, I think. So I did not change the story. I did not change. And, there's a couple details here and there that I did change because I've written 4 stories after this one, and so I know that when I wrote it, I had no idea I was going to write not 4 stories, 4 books, uh, uh, 3 books. I had no idea I was going to write. It was going to be a 4 book series. I just wrote the story, and then I tried to write these other stories based on what I had written down. Every now and then there was a few things that I like, ooh, I wish I didn't say that in the first book. Well, I can change it. It's not that big of a deal. Um, one of the things, I don't know if these are bees or what these things are out there, but they're very loud flies or bees or whatever they are. One of the things I changed was actually I already changed this a while ago. I didn't even change it in this rewrite. Right. Regardless, there's just such minor details. No one would. I said that Pierre is telling Esperanza that he went to uh, Cuba and he went to Asia and then and he lists all these places, and then I just made it real general, and I said that he fought all over Latin America, and then after Mexico went to Cuba, and so just that little change, instead of listing all these countries by just being real general, it kind of covers or backs up what the following books are gonna say about him. I put that he went to Cuba twice in the first edition of it, Los Chocolates, and I can't get him to Cuba twice. There's no way. So I said he went to Cuba once. I changed that. But that's done. And the reason I'm in my van right now is because I want to go to Montrose, where I can sit down at a cafe with good internet, and I may publish Los Chocolates second edition. I may publish it today if I can get it formatted. Um, the paperback and the Kindle version formatted. I can get them uploaded. At least uploaded. They won't get published. But if I can get them uploaded today, um, by the time this weekend's over, they may be ready. They may be live. So that is another big accomplishment that's been happening this week. Another thing is I look down here and I see this new fire pit that I dug. I moved his old fire pit and put it here. This is my buddy's cabin, by the way. I don't know if I said that. He's letting me stay here. The things, and I'm just rambling on about the things I get accomplished. Anyways, I moved this fire pit, and this was a lot of work, a lot of manual labor. I could have been able to get it done in a couple hours, but when I went to dig the hole for the actual pit part, there were so many boulders in there, and they're rocks, but they're about, you need two hands to lift them out of the ground. And so I spent hours digging out these rocks, which I ended up using. Funny thing was, I was curious. I'm like, the fire pit had rocks around it, and some of them have been broken because they're not really meant to tolerate the heat. And I'm like, where did you get all these damn rocks? And the driveway and the house and everything was lined with these rocks. I'm like, where can I get some of these rocks? Well, they're in the ground, and I dug them up. I had to dig them up because I had to dig the fire pit a little deeper. Big fire hazards here in Colorado. I think there's fires burning at right now as we speak. Maybe they're out. I don't know. But I had to. I started tearing skin on my hands. I had to put gloves on, and then I didn't stop. When I had this whole thing with this huge, like there were these rocks were just big, but there was one that was not budging. Like I don't know how long it was going to go down into the earth. For all I know, it was just good. It could be in 2-3 feet long, and there's no way I was gonna get it out. So I thought maybe I'll just break it. Maybe if I can, I had enough of it exposed that it would be a nice size rock to put around the fire pit. But I thought maybe if I can break it, I can get it out because it's so big that I'm supposed to dig like a concave or bowl-shaped hole in the ground, and this thing was so big that it was taking up that room. It wouldn't be a concave bowl-shaped hole in the ground without this big ass rock out of the way. So I figured if I could break it right where I have it, to the point where I have it exposed, I could get it out of there, and then I could finish this damn job. So I started poking at it with the pickaxe, which I went to Montrose to buy so that I could do this job. My buddy doesn't have a pickaxe here. Oh, I hate that I have these sniffles, but allergies were very bad this morning for me. So I started slamming away at it. That's when I realized my hand was skin was ripping off my hand. I put the gloves on and I boop 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 chipping away. I'm like, I don't get this son of a bitch. And finally, I got my pickaxe in there and I got it stuck. And I started to shake it or wiggle it back and forth, and the whole thing started moving. So once I was able to get the pointy end of the pickaxe in there and have some leverage, I was able to knock this huge ass rock free. The only thing I regret is that it has a hole in it from where I was pounding on it with the pickaxe. But I was able to knock it free. And when I accomplished that, I thought, man, I should be done. My thought was, I can finish this tomorrow. Nope. I finished it. I immediately went into finishing digging the hole, rounding out. It got to the point where I was moving so much dirt, I had to start saving dirt. Threw a bunch of dirt back in there, finished placing the rocks, and then I had to remove the old rocks, find them another home for the old fire pit. It doesn't even look like there was a fire pit ever there because I saved all the gravel. I had to shovel the gravel. It was a lot of work, folks. A lot of work. And by the time I got done, I was wore out. But I felt great. I felt great. And that's one thing I like to do when I'm out here is to work outside. I stripped down to my skivvies. I don't wear regular underwear ever since I started, ever since I did this race or this ruck march. As a joke, they all wanted us to wear silkies, which I guess Marines call them silkies. The Army call them Ranger panties, but there are these short ass running shorts. They actually are running shorts, but they're so small and so skimpy that you can wear them as underwear. And I believe that's what the Marines wear. So it's also their PT uniform. So the Marines' underwear under their uniform is they're actually wearing their PT uniform, but they use it as underwear. So the T-shirt and the shorty shorts. Well, I realized after buying those and doing this march a few years ago that those are the best pair of underwear you can have. So that's what I was in all day long out here manually slinging rocks and pickaxes. Talache. Atalache. Atalache, which I didn't know was called pickaxe for many, many years. I just thought that was atalache. Um, Rocks, gravel, dirt, ash, all in sandals, and my silkies taking up some sun on my hairy ass chest and shit. It was great. Work, manual labor. Today, if I can get back in time, I'm gonna cut some wood. I'm gonna stack it over here. Got all kinds of stuff you can do around here. I love doing this manual labor. So that was another accomplishment. Another thing, very recent. Last night, I watched The Danish Girl. There's limited resources here, and I took everything off. All of my movies that I did have on my iTunes, I took them off because I was going crazy about storage. But in my backpack, this is like the third backpack I've had since I took that trip to Mexico in 2016. But in this backpack are DVDs that I keep transferring over to backpacks that I bought while I was in Mexico. One of them was The Danish Girl. I'd never seen it. I've been carrying around this DVD in my backpack for 2 years. And watch The Danish Girl. That was super cool. That was really, really good. I didn't know that was based on a true story. Can you believe that? But the other thing I did was have a dream. And I'm not going to talk about these dreams that I have. Excuse me. But this dream inspired me to do something, to tell a story. And so last night, while watching The Danish Girl, I couldn't help. I got my notepad out and I started scratching down a timeline or an outline of a story. I kind of have an ending. I'm not sure. I have all the material I could write for days. Well, I probably will write for days. I could probably fill a book with all the material that I have. But it's going to be a Groundhog Day or Edge of Tomorrow, where the characters are keep reliving the same days over and over again. But he's not going to be living the same days over and over again. He's going to be reliving the same relationship over and over again. The more I think about it, the more I realize that it's going to be more like, not more like Groundhog Day, but more like 51st Dates kind of a thing. Memento. Maybe a little bit of magic in there. But what's going to happen is this guy is going to fall in love with a girl. And starting in elementary school, all the way to middle age. I'm not sure about the ending. And she's gonna break up with him every time, or their relationship's just gonna go bad. No, no. Oh, she has to break up with break up with him, I think, or leave him. Just and then he's gonna run into her later in his life, starting with elementary school, and she's gonna forget that they were ever together. So every time that he runs into her, so say a few years go by and he walks into a bar or whatever, and she's there, and she has no idea who he is, but he knows who he is. They were once lovers. They were once, I don't know, engaged. They once had a pregnancy scare. They once, who knows? But every time she breaks up with him, and every time he thinks it's going to be different, and it's not. And there are times where he randomly looks and runs into her, sees her, and doesn't say a word. Again, she doesn't recognize him. He is the girl, or she is the girl that he's been in love with since third grade. She doesn't recognize him. He feels it. He doesn't want to get started. He walks away. But then he sees her again. That's a good book. It's a good story. I don't know if it'll be a good book, but it's a good story. I think I have an ending. I'm not sure. I don't have a title, I'll tell you that. That just happened last night. Um, the other morning, I wrote a short story. Something I was like, oh, I was looking at my 44-year-old self in a mirror and thinking, how the hell did I get so goddamn old? And I just thought of the scene and I called it a scene from a house in Torrance. I don't know if I'm going to keep that title. But I just sat down and words and ideas flowed and it was nice. And it was just maybe 900 words. It's nothing crazy. It's just a little scene. But that felt good. And it's borderline. It's not, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I could read it. If I should read it at the open mic that I go to. Maybe. It's about a middle-aged man looking at himself in the fucking mirror. Of course, I put sex in it. But I think it's it's a really cool story. There's not much to it, but it just felt so good to write. I've been proofreading and rereading and publishing for a couple months now. Well, probably since the last time I stayed here by myself. I really get a lot done here, and I think it has to do with no internet. Not necessarily the inspiration of the mountains, but that could be it too. Anyways, so that's it, folks. I'm 44 years old. This is my birthday week. It's coming to an end. I keep thinking that I'm going to say something like back to reality, but, you know, I'm going back to reality means what? I just go to Boulder and hang out in my van and write and stuff. But maybe reality is is the world where there is an internet 24/7. That's back to reality. I can still fish every day in Boulder. I can have coffee. I don't know why this is any different. The only difference is that there is no internet and I have to drive an hour to get a decent signal. So that's it. Uh, I appreciate you tuning in to my 44th birthday episode. And if you want to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram at David E. Soto Jr. JR for Junior. On Twitter at David E. Soto Jr. Jr. for Twitter. My website is davidsotorights.com. I don't know. You're supposed to have a website. I have one, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't do me any good, though. Somebody did reach out to me through that. And it was a very nice message I got. So I guess it has its purpose. Anyways, I'll see you guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much.